On this video today, I'm going to talk to you about the arena mindset. 8 scoreboards that let you know that you're winning in life. 8 scoreboards. I'm going to tell you what the 8 scoreboards are first so you can be anticipating. The first one is focus. And I'm going to give you some frameworks for all of these. The first one is focus. It's a scoreboard. Focus is a scoreboard. Faith is a scoreboard. Family is a scoreboard. Finances are a scoreboard. Friendships are a scoreboard. Your future is a scoreboard. Fulfillment is a scoreboard. And I'm talking about the arena mindset. I was going to call this video, Winning at the Game of Life. But the reality is that most people aren't winning at the game of life. Most people don't even know they're playing in the game of life. Most people are so busy resisting the game, fighting the game, hating the game, attempting to cheat the game, that they have very, very little chance of winning the game because they're not playing the game, they're being played by the game. See, the reality is you are not trying to get into the game of life. You are already in it. Know it or not. The only question is, are you playing to win or are you reacting to lose? It's really interesting. When I think about parenting, the purpose of parenting is to take an out-of-control, irresponsible child who's self-willed and selfish and turn them into a responsible adult. And if you don't do that, when they become an adult in their body, in their mind, they are still an irresponsible, out of control, undisciplined, self-centered, selfish child in an adult body. And you can tell whether you're dealing with an adult or a child by asking yourself, is this person responding or reacting? See, the word responsible, the word responsible means to respond with ability. But if the situation you're in requires that you respond with ability, and you have no ability for the situation that you are facing, then you're going to get frustrated by your inability to respond with ability, and you're going to react and show a side of you that nobody wants to see. So, the first part of the arena mindset is the wake up. And that is, you need to wake up and recognize, are you participating or are you spectating in the game of life? And you can tell. You don't have to look at anybody else's life to tell whether you're participating or spectating. Just look at your own life. If you are looking at what somebody else is doing, and that gets you more excited than what you are doing, you are a spectator, not a participator. And I know some of y'all are thinking, but the word's participant. Participant does not rhyme with spectator. Leave me alone. Okay, so you are a spectator. You're watching. Now here's the sad part about being a spectator. Here's the sad part about being a spectator. You can spectate, watch somebody else win, and think you're winning. People do that by the hundreds of millions because they will watch their favorite team in their favorite sport. And they will lose their natural mind if their favorite team from their favorite sport wins or loses. And it does not move the needle in their life so much as a millimeter. There's nothing wrong with watching sports. I watch sports sometimes. I usually watch it on YouTube, so I don't have to watch the commercials and I don't have to listen to the commentators. Just the highlights. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Appreciate even more my time. Okay. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something now. When my life wasn't working for me, but it was working on me, I didn't want to watch somebody else win. I didn't want to watch somebody else win. I didn't care if they won or lost. Don't really care that much now if they win or lose. Do you want to watch the game? Not really. Do you want to go to the game? Definitely not. But you don't even know what the game is. Don't care. It does not affect my life. I don't want to be in a space with that many people who are doing all that stuff that they're doing, and to watch a bunch of people I don't know do something that I don't really know that much about and certainly don't care that much about. Why? Because it's a distraction. And I submit to you that if you are predominantly a spectator, one of the reasons that you are a spectator is because you use the distraction of spectating the sport of life as an anesthesia to take away the pain of your life not working because you are unwilling to work on it. I hope I didn't come out swinging too hard or too fast. But I'm going to tell you something now. I'm going to tell you something. Even I don't want to hurt your feelings because I do love you. But sometimes the truth has a point on the end of it. And the reality is, broke people watching television, scrolling social media, watching other people live doesn't make sense. If you're not winning in life, why would you want to watch somebody else win when you could be putting that same time, effort, energy, focus into winning for yourself and your family? Like, if you don't want to win for yourself, for your family, don't you want to give your children a chance? Don't you want to give your grandchildren a better chance than you had? My parents did way better for us than they did for themselves. By the grace of God, I've done better for my children than my parents did for me. By the grace of God, I hope they do better for their children than I did for them. But I can't do that if I'm distracting myself with the anesthesia of who won this and what television show is on and who's saying what on social media. Even, I think, anyway, let me ask you a question. Do you spend more time spectating or participating? Do you spend more time watching other people win? And by the way, there's nothing wrong with watching other people win, especially if you're watching them win to get a strategy for how you can win. That's actually a good idea, right? That way you don't have to figure out all the moves by yourself. But if you're just watching to pass the time and take away the pain of your life not working, I would highly suggest that you engage in some new activities. I mean, I feel like I know some things. I know more than I used to know. In fact, I know a lot more than I used to know. In fact, I know a lot more now than I knew last month. Why? Because I'm not going to let a day go by where I'm not learning something. Why? Because every day that goes by that I'm not learning something, I am getting further and further behind. And so, it's fascinating to watch people spectate. I'm going to tell you something. In my opinion, and I may not even get through all these, but I don't care. We're going to get through what we get through, and hopefully it'll get through to somebody. Let me tell you some of the most devastating things to spectate. And some of the most damaging things you can do while you spectate. Some of the most devastating things you can do that you can spectate I think the most devastating thing that you can spectate, that you can watch, that you can give your attention to, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but if you disagree with me while you're watching me on YouTube, I'm talking to you right there watching me right now on that YouTube camera, on your television or your phone or whatever you're looking at me on. If when you're watching this, you disagree with me, I want you to look at your life and ask yourself, is my life working the way I want it to? Because if it ain't, this might be the problem. So, number one, apart from pornography and like just stuff that's blatantly evil, right? Apart from that, I'm not talking about people who are watching that kind of stuff. I'm talking about people who just everyday life watching stuff that most people watch. The worst thing that you can watch is the news. The worst thing that you can pay attention to is the news. Reading the newspaper, watching the news, listening to the news on the radio, listening to NPR, watching CNN, constantly negative news, ABC, always been corrupt news, sly as a fox news. I don't care which brand of news you're watching. All it's doing is filling your mind with problems you have no ability to solve, which causes you to waste energy on problems you can't solve, which causes you not to have energy when you cross problems you can solve. I don't ever watch the news. I don't watch it. I don't want to. Don't you want to know what happens? Myron, if I don't watch the news, and they get that voice too. If I don't watch the news, how will I know what's going on in the world? Okay, that's a fair question. I'll tell you the answer to that after I ask you a question. If you can't fix what's going on in your world, what you going to do about the problems in the world? Blows my mind to smithereens. Everybody has an opinion about everything going on in the world, and they can't keep their lights on. Right? You got to decide this month, am I paying the gas bill or the water bill? It used to be me. I'm not judging you. That used to be me. But at least I wasn't watching the news while I was trying to figure out whether I was going to pay I wasn't filling my head with a whole bunch of problems I can't solve. And by the way, from a biblical perspective, the Bible tells us not to watch the news. You say, well, is that in the Bible? It is. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. The news is the exact opposite of all of those. But you want to watch the news, think about what God told you not to think about, and then talk about, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. Not if you ain't doing verse 8, you can't. The news. Devastating. Okay? Second. Sports. I believe sports is worse than movies. You know why? Because it lasts longer. Like a basketball game that lasts an hour, that they play for an hour, stays on television for what, 3 hours? Football game maybe 4 hours? It lasts longer. So now you've got more time wasted, flushed down the time toilet, because anesthetizing the pain of your life not working, watching a bunch of overgrown men in really tight clothes pulverize each other. There's nothing wrong with it. If that's what you like, there's nothing wrong with liking that. But there's something wrong with watching it, and your default answer to your family for everything that could be good for them is no. You're watching football and don't have life insurance. That's insanity to me. Okay. You're watching basketball and you're screaming your lungs out. But you haven't said a kind word to the people in your family in 4 weeks. Your children don't feel encouraged by you, but you're cheering on some grown man who doesn't know you and could care less that you exist. It sounds like I'm poo-pooing sports. I'm not. I'm poo-pooing broke people watching sports. People who don't have a good relationship with their wives and their children watching sports. Yeah. There's a danger in artificial human interaction. And it doesn't matter if it's sports, or if it's the news, or it's watching a movie, or it's watching YouTube, or scrolling Facebook or Instagram. If you are in the presence of people and ignoring the people whose presence you are in, because you're plugged into focusing on some people on a screen, whatever that screen might be, I don't have a better way of saying this, but it's the same net effect in your relationships that pornography has in the intimacy of people, because the reason people engage in pornography is because they get to feel the sensual pleasure of that without having to become the person that would be attractive to somebody of the opposite gender. I don't have to deal with a person, but I can just make myself feel good. Okay. But now, God said it's not good for man to be alone, and you would rather fellowship with people who you don't have to develop any people skills to deal with than interact with people who people skills are absolutely required, because people are peopling all the time, and people are hard to deal with when they peopling. Can I get a witness? So, are you spectating or are you participating? Passive spectators usually play the victim. By the way, do you know why people who are doing something on social media have haters? We have haters because it's like if I hate you for what you're doing, it excuses me from what I'm not doing in my mind. So fascinating. I was Richmond Din, who's one of my clients, and he's one of my high-level clients, and he did a video on it, so I can talk about it. He did a video called "I Paid Myron $350,000. This is what happened." That's the name of his video, right? So I thought, this is interesting. I wonder what kind of comments he's getting. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. Myron is a scammer. Well, clearly I'm a scammer. Clearly, I'm a scammer, right? Because if I'm a scammer, now you don't have to take personal responsibility. Now, Richmond himself said in the video, I paid Myron $350,000, but the coaching that he gave me took my business from $3 million a year to $10 million a year. But I scammed him. I got $350,000, he got $7 million. So I don't mind that people call me a scammer. I know it has nothing to do with me. It's just, it has nothing to do with me. Do whatever you got to do. But I think what you mean when, like, if somebody charges somebody $350,000, they have to be a scammer, right? And the reason you believe that is because if you charge somebody $350,000, the only way you could think of to do that would be to scam them. That's what that means. Okay. So, but they play the victim. And what's really interesting about the victimhood mentality, that's what another thing about watching the news. Watching the news makes people feel like they're victims of everything that's going on in life. And so what happens when you play the victim role for a while until you change from the victim role to what I call the villain role. And you become the villain because you justify your villainous behavior because you've been victimized. And so a person who feels like that they haven't gotten their fair share of whatever, they will steal and justify it because, well, I didn't get what was mine, so I'm going to steal. I didn't get what was mine, so I'm going to lie. I didn't get what was mine, so I'm going to embezzle. I didn't get what was mine, so I'm going to... And so they go from victim to villain, and then from villain to savior. And when I say from villain to savior, they want to save other people who are being victimized by the same things they were victimized from. And so they want to become the champion of the victimized. And it's a process I've seen over and over and over again in people's lives. Victim, villain, savior. It's exactly what Absalom did with David. He felt like he was a victim because David ostracized him. So he became a villain and stole the hearts of the people. But he thought he was saving them. So, don't be a passive spectator. Be an active participator in your life. Excuses erase any opportunity for excellence. Yes, you can excuse yourself, but the only person who believes your excuse kinda is you. Kinda. But there's a part of you that knows it's just an excuse. So, I was thinking about how can I help people wake up and step into this whole thing I'm going to become today for the rest of my life. I'm going to become an active participant. I'm going to stop watching the news. I'm going to start reading books. I'm going to start applying what I learn. I'm going to do a test. And if the test doesn't yield the results I want, I'm going to do another test. How can I wake people up to this? And this is what I came up with. And maybe it'll be helpful, maybe it won't. You are a player in the game of life by default. Now, a lot of players in the game who are players by default don't know they're players. And so if you're a player and you don't know you're a player, you can't play the game. You can only be played by the game. But you are either, as a player, you are a player who is spectating from the bench, or maybe even from the bleachers. Can you imagine a player on the team sitting in the bleachers? There are people who do that in their own life. Uniform on and everything, sitting on the bleachers. Even though being a spectator, you're a player who's acting like a spectator, you're in the game, but you have no ability to win the game because spectators don't ever win. People delude themselves every day. I guarantee you, it's March Madness people are talking about right now. Yeah, my team won yesterday. They ain't your team. You ain't on their team. You may know who they are. They have no idea who you are. Okay? Spectators don't win the game. They watch them and then convince themselves that they are either victims of the game or victors of the game, but they are neither. They are being played by the game. The game lures people into the belief that they can't win. Therefore, they don't play. They just spectate. The game, so we look at the game. Oh, the game's too hard. Oh, the game takes too long. Oh, the game costs too much. Oh, the game requires relationships that I don't have, so I'm not going to play the game because I can't win the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be a victim of the game and then watch other people win the game and then cheer them on, and then it'll make me feel better. So that's part one, is like you got to get in an arena. Okay, here's the decision. You ready? This is the decision. Stop hating the game and start playing the game. Now, here's the interesting thing about games. We play games because they are supposed to be fun. Games are supposed to be fun. So, here's a good question for the game of life as we're playing it. How can I make this more fun for me? See, now, I don't know right now if y'all are having fun or just watching me have fun. But I'm having fun. In fact, one of the reasons I invite y'all in here every week is because y'all are so much fun. This is fun for me. Like, yeah, YouTube pays me. I would do this. I did this at IHOP For years, for almost a decade, for 9 years, I did this at IHOP. Nobody was paying me. I did it because it was fun. Okay, so stop hating the game, start playing the game. And here's how you start playing the game. Realize that fighting with the facts, and by facts I mean the truth, reality, how life works, fighting with the facts fuels frustration. You feel really, really frustrated with life? When you feel really, really frustrated with life, oftentimes that is a clue that you are fighting with the facts. You want the rules to change. You want the facts to change. You want the truth to change so you can stay the same and still win the game. It don't, baby. It don't work like that. But when you learn to play with the principles, it produces progress. So in other words, when you find out how, remember what I said principles are, right? Principles are what? God's automation. That's so fascinating. That God, when he created everything, Genesis chapter 1, God had automation and delegation in Genesis chapter 1. He made me in his image, and I think I don't need automation and delegation. I'm delusional. He made me to make stuff. He created me to create stuff. He showed me how he did it. He gave me like the blueprint. Okay. So you have to realize that playing with the principles, like instead of against them, produces progress. And here's the beauty of all of that. Acceptance of life's automations is the only thing in life that activates advantages. So, if I understand how life works, and I know the rules of the game, and I'm not playing against other players in the game. I'm not playing against you, you're not playing against me. I don't have an adversarial relationship with the players in the game. But there is an enemy in the game. In fact, there are 3 enemies in the game that are fighting against me. But I am playing to win the game, and since I'm playing to win the game, as long as I apply the principles and adhere to the automations, and I follow the facts, I can defeat all 3 of those enemies. Who are those 3 enemies? They are the world. Now, when I say the world, so for those of you who don't have a biblical reference, let me give you a practical reference. When I say the world, I am talking about your ambitions. But in order for me to get us on the same page with the word ambition, because when I say ambition, I'm not talking about the things that you desire that don't have yet. I'm talking about when I say ambition, I mean the world is fighting you in creating inside of you this need for people to believe something about you. So when I say ambition, I'm talking about your desire to be somebody in the minds of other people. See, if I need you to think something about me, I'm in bondage to my perception of your thoughts of me. Which, by the way, is the number one reason. You asked me a question about branding, Jesse. That is the number one reason people don't serve in their gifting, because they're afraid of what they think other people will think. They're not even afraid of what other people will think. They're afraid of what they think other people will think. Because the reality is you don't know what other people are going to think. And if they're going to think it about you, you don't even have to do anything for them to think it about you. They're going to think it about you anyway, so you might as well just go ahead and do the thing. Is anybody tracking? And so, the world fights against us in the game of life by me having this belief, this feeling that I need you to believe something about me. Now, when I don't need you to believe anything about me, now I'm okay with, I don't like it, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with being misunderstood. I'm okay with people assigning ill motives to my doing of a thing. I'm okay with it because I know that I have to answer to God, and I'm going to be responsible before Him, and I'm going to do my best to keep my motives pure in my relationship with God. And so, if you understand or don't understand, that's on you. I can't fix that. So that's number one. Number two, this is the biggest. This enemy is with us all the time, and that is our flesh. And by flesh, so we can get on the same page, I mean our appetites. And by appetites, so we can be on the same page, I mean our desire to feel something. And it doesn't matter if I'm talking about my desire to feel something when it comes to food appetites, drug appetites, alcohol appetites, sex appetites, what do they call it? Rush. Like I'm gonna bungee jumping. I can promise you. I can promise you. If I live to be 972, I am never gonna bungee jump. Why? Myron has a rule. Now you don't have to. Can I tell you about a rule that helped me get to 65? Almost 65, 64. Can I help you? Can I share with y'all a rule? Okay, here's the rule. This helped me get all the way to 64, almost 65. 1 month and a half, 2 months, less than 2 months. I'll be 65. Okay, so here's the rule. If something, anything, has a limited upside and an infinite downside, it is always a hard no. Hard no. That's why I don't ride motorcycles. I used to ride motorcycles. I love riding motorcycles. I love riding motorcycles. I only have one problem with riding a motorcycle. Too many Florida drivers, and I am a motorcycle idiot. You say, what do you mean you're a motorcycle idiot? You know those people who can't ride a motorcycle slow? That would be me. I don't ride it fast because I'm in a hurry. I ride it fast because it'll go fast. Right? And you combine motorcycle idiot, put that in a mix with Florida drivers. Here's what you have: death and devastation. And you have limited upside. You get to go fast, feel good for a little while. Unlimited downside, right? Until your arm is over there, your legs over there, your head's down the road. No, I'm not doing that, right? So when my children were little, I stopped riding motorcycles because I'm fastening them in a car seat. So if we get in an accident, nothing happens to them. And then I'm one day I'm on this motorcycle, I'm thinking, why am I fastening my kids in a seat? They need me way more than I need them. This motorcycle got to go. I'll never get on another one as long as I live. Anyway, so flesh. I'm playing against the flesh. I'm playing against the world. I'm playing against the devil. Now here's what the devil does in the game. He tempts me in my attitudes. And the primary attitude that the devil wants to tempt me in is the attitude of pride. And the anti-venom, because Satan is a serpent, the anti-venom for the venom of pride is gratitude. Never forget that it's all a gift. Oh, I've been married for 40 gift. I've worked hard to build this business. Gift. But man, I had to read all those books. Do you understand that your ability to read is a gift? You could have been born in a country that didn't even have a written language. And you think you doing all that because you read the books? Child, please. You were born into a family that gave you the advantages that you have. And they may have been dysfunctional. In fact, I'm sure your family was dysfunctional. I'm 64 years old and have never seen a fully functional family. They're all dysfunctional because they're all made from dysfunctional humans. You get a dysfunctional man that marries a dysfunctional woman, and they have a bunch of dysfunctional children, and then they have a dysfunctional family. Why? Because we have a sin nature. But I'm telling you, I have no place. Somebody asked me, in fact, I was being interviewed on a podcast recently. I'm not going to tell you which podcast because it's going to be coming out pretty soon. And he asked me, so what things are you proud of? I said, I'm not really proud of anything. I don't think in those terms because I realize that everything good about me is a gift. Even the stuff that I've worked hard at, my intention and decision to work hard at those things, that was a gift. Do you realize that everybody didn't grow up in a house where they had a father and a mother who made them work hard? By the way, when you're growing up in a house and you got a father and a mother that makes you work hard, it don't feel like a gift, does it? Right? Can I get a witness from the young people in the room? Hallelujah. Okay, you don't have to say anything because I know your parents are watching, but I know. Okay, so, right? It don't feel like a gift, but it's a gift. When my dad woke us up on Saturdays at 7 o'clock in the morning talking about, you ain't gonna sleep all day in my house. All day at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, Dad. We wouldn't say that. We might think it, but we wasn't going to say it. The consequences were, that was one of those limited upside, unlimited downside things. Okay. And so no. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I want to get to this part, and then I'm going to give you the 8 scoreboards. You ready? The framework. Every game has rules. You're already experiencing the rules. Everybody experiences the rules. If life feels really, really hard right now, there are some rules of the game of life that you are not playing by. Sometimes I know that I have the habit of making things sound overly simplified. But I'm not doing that intentionally. I'm just doing that because that's how it feels to me. It feels really, really simple. We just complicate it so much. I think we complicate it partly because it makes us feel so much smarter when we figure it out after we complicated it. I'm not sure that that's the reason, but it feels really simple because there are so many conditional promises. If you do this, you can expect this. Anyway, so you're already experiencing the rules. So here's what you got to do. Since you're experiencing them, start looking for the rules of the game. Become more aware. Remember I said a couple weeks ago, all transformation begins with awareness. Right? So start looking for the rules of the game. If I'm working on something that's not working for me, there's a reason that it's working against me. But just because it's working against me doesn't mean it won't work. Do you realize that a plane that is flying still has gravity pulling against it? You do realize that. Gravity is pulling the plane down. But the plane's flying. How's the plane flying? Because the rules of the game state that if you apply a more powerful principle, you can negate the effects of a less powerful principle. And the principle of lift with an airplane, lift and thrust, is greater than the principle of drag and gravity. And so all I have to do, maybe that's what we should do. Maybe every time we find a principle that we find this resistance, we should say, hey, okay, I'm finding resistance in this area. What is the opposite of this experience that I'm having? What's the opposite principle? And then figure out how we can take the opposite principle and apply more of that than this is being applied to our life, and then boom, we can win. It's mind-blowing. Like, for instance, I don't have enough money. Well, if I don't have enough money, I can literally make more offers. I can make more offers. So, and here, okay, let me do it a different way. I believe that one of the reasons people don't win financially is because they've never even thought about the fact that they spend money all day, every day, and only get paid every now and then. That's the whole financial picture right there. You spend money all day, every day. You're spending money right now. You say, I'm not spending money right now. If you are in Florida and you have an air conditioner in your house, that air conditioner is running, or you have a refrigerator, it's running, or you have the heat turned on somewhere, it's running. You're spending money all day, every day. Every time you get in your car, you're spending money. Every time you walk on your shoes, you're spending money because those shoes are wearing out a little bit more. You're spending money all day, every day, but you get paid every now and then. You wonder why you can't get ahead. So I figured out a long time ago, if I'm spending money every day, if I could figure out a way to get paid every day, and I can get paid more every day than I'm spending every day, I can get ahead in the financial game. But in order for me to get paid every day, I have to have an offer that's easy to present, it's easy for people to accept, and it's easy for them to pay for. I have a book, From the Trash Man to the Cash Man. Last year, this book made me $78,000. I sell this book almost every day. I wrote this book 20 years ago. This book, Boss Moves, I wrote this book 5 years ago. I sell this book almost every day. This book last year made me $180-something thousand. Boom, 2 books. Okay, now I can get paid every day. And so now I can not be distracted by bills because my bills are automated. Like my mortgages are automated, my electric bills are automated, my car payments are automated. All of my bills are automated because I don't want to think about it and I don't want to forget to mail them in. What's wrong with the lights? You forgot to pay the light bill. I don't forget to pay the light bill. I just paid it once and it gets paid forever. It's on automation. But if my bills are going to be on automation, doesn't it make sense for me to have my income be on automation as well? I'm just saying. And if I have more automated money coming in than I have automated money going out, ta-da! Okay, y'all are picking up what I'm putting down. So look for rules of the game, rules like that, for instance. Then once you look for the rules of the game, when you find them, learn the rules. Learn the rules. Like, but I've got stuff to do. Okay. Learn the rules. And I'm talking about alignment. Get in alignment. Once you look for the rules, when you learn them for the purpose of aligning with them and making adjustments so that your life matches them. And then once you look for the rules and you learn the rules, then you can finally start, you ready? Leveraging the rules. The rules are great leverage. You know what leverage is, right? Leverage is minimal input creates maximum output. Remember what Archimedes said? This is such a good illustration, by the way. I want to draw this. So Archimedes said, if you give me a lever long enough and a prop strong enough and a place to stand, I can single-handedly move the world. So he said, if you give me a lever long enough and a prop strong enough and a place to stand, I can single-handedly move the world. For people who have leverage, everything feels easy. For people who are playing the game, they're playing the game because they have leverage. What's their leverage? They know the rules, they've looked for the rules, they've learned the rules, and now they're leveraging the rules, they're using them. And so I've learned the rules, and I'm applying them, and now my life is working. But here's the thing. If you decide I'm not going to learn the rules, I'm not going to look for the rules, I'm not going to leverage the rules, then you don't get to use leverage. You are relegated for the rest of your life to being leverage. You are being played by the game. How many of y'all are tracking? And so here are the 8 scoreboards. Y'all ready? Well, number 1, focus. The number 1 common denominator in successful people in any discipline, domain, or field of endeavor. The number 1. Number what? 1 is they hyper-focus on intention and ignore distraction like it's the plague. Like they avoid it like the plague. Now, by intention, I mean anything that you focus on that moves the needle in your favor is intention. By distraction, I mean Anything you focus on that does not move the needle in your favor, that's a distraction. So, here's the question. In the scoreboard of focus, give yourself a scale, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 being hyper-focused, okay? Hyper-focused. 0 being completely distracted. Where are you when it comes to your focus for the purpose of your life? Are you a 0? Are you a 1? Are you a 2? Are you a 3? Are you a 4? Where are you with regard to the purpose for your life? Where's your focus? And you say, well, Myron, I don't know what my purpose is. Your purpose is to live in your creative space. God planted an aspect of his creativity inside of all of us. Your job is to discover that creativity, develop that creativity, and then deploy that creativity into the world as value. That's your purpose. And he put a different aspect inside of all of us. So there are people in here who are good at stuff I'm not good at. I'm good at stuff you're not good at. The reason God didn't make all of us good at everything is because if he did, we wouldn't need each other. But since you're good at stuff I'm bad at, I need you, and I'm bad at stuff you're good at. Are you good at stuff? You're good at stuff I'm bad at, so I need you. I'm good at stuff you're bad at, so you need me, and so we're gonna keep on needing each other. Okay, so that's the scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to focus. But now we got arena number 2, faith. We talked about that last week. Go watch the video. Is your faith fictional? You believe it enough to talk about it. You believe it enough to say you believe it. You believe it enough to think you believe it. But you don't believe it enough to do anything about it. That's fictional faith. Fictional faith. But functional faith is, when you have functional faith, you know what you have? You have a really bad case of the I can't help it. Like when you believe something so much you have to do something about it, that's functional faith. But when you believe something enough to talk about it, maybe even get a little mad about it, be a little irritated about it, be a little frustrated by it, but you don't believe it enough to do anything about it, you have fictional faith, not functional faith. So where are you? Scale of 1 to 10. Draw your own, it's your scoreboard. I don't need to know what your score is because I ain't playing against you. I'm playing against me. I need to know what my scoreboard is for me, and I need to make sure that when it comes to my purpose, that I am way closer to the 10 end of the spectrum than I am to the 0 end of the spectrum. And here's what's interesting. The closer I get to the 10, the further it gets away, because our winning the game for us has an infinite capacity. The purpose is to keep growing. That's the purpose. The purpose is the becoming. The winning of the game is in the becoming. We think the winning of the game is in the getting. Like once I become, then I can do, and then I can have. Oh, the having, I'm winning. I have this and I have this. No. The person you're becoming is how you win. But God set it up in such a way that you would hyper-obsess over the having, so you yield to the doing, and then finally you realize, I can't do this until I become the person, and then you start hyper-obsessing over the same thing he hyper-obsesses for you, and that is you becoming the person. How cool is that? Okay, cool. So, in your fitness, oh boy. In your fitness, let me ask you a question. Are you energized? Or are you exhausted? And you know what's really interesting? If you're exhausted, getting to the place where you're going to be energized is going to be exhausting. But it's not going to be exhausting perpetually and exponentially, like if you keep ignoring it. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. The more I move, the better I'm able to move, and the more I'm able to move, but the less I move. And the more I resist moving, the harder moving becomes. And movement is medicine, and motion is lotion. And I'm a poet, and I know it, because my feet show it. 12 and a half. Okay. All right. So pray for me. Don't judge. I know I'm corny. I can't help it. It comes in my brain, and before I can stop it, it comes out of my mouth. So pray for me or judge me, whichever the case may be. Finances. Here's the question. Are you creating and compounding value, or are you just chasing money? I did it backwards. Creating and compounding values over here. Creating and compounding value, or are you just chasing money? Are you just chasing money? What are you doing? Like, here's what's really fascinating about making a lot of money. You don't make a lot of money by chasing money. You make a lot of money by obsessing, hyper-obsessing, and I know you're tired of hearing me say this, but I'm going to keep saying it anyway, hyper-obsessing over other people's problems so much that you discover and develop and deploy the most elegant, effective, efficient solution to their problem that they've ever seen, and they happily pay you for it. And they'll pay you crazy, amazing prices. It's kind of wild. Okay, so your finances. Are you hyper-obsessed? Are you compounding value? Creating and compounding value? Or are you just chasing money? Okay. When it comes to your friendships, are you surrounded or are you supported? Are you just surrounded by a bunch of people because you don't want to feel lonely? Or are you being supported by people who you support and who you support? It's so interesting. This fascinates me, how people, jumping to conclusions is literally the only exercise some people get. And I've told the story before about how when I was really, really going through a really difficult time in my life, how a friend of mine, David Mitchell, loaned me $4,000 a month. I get so much hate for that comment. Like, people are like, you weren't really broke. You had a friend who would loan you $4,000 a month. That's not broke. But what they don't know is the other side of the story. When David was broke, I consulted with him because he was my friend and showed him how to take a fledgling business that was over $1 million in debt and turn it into a business that made $10 million, $12 million a year. And so when I was broke and he was making $12 million a year, he realized I wouldn't be here. And this is what he said: we wouldn't be here if it weren't for him, and we're not going to let him go down like that. So we can loan him money. And he loaned me $4,000 a month and said, I don't care if you pay it back or not. And that made me a bad person because I wasn't really down because I had a friend. The reason I had a friend who supported me at that level is because I was a friend who supported at that level.
That's right. Come on.
Okay, I'm gonna wind up because I skipped over family. Family's supposed to be after faith, y'all. I skipped over because I'm not good at reading, so judge me. Okay, family. Are you present or are you preoccupied? When you're with your family, are you present? Or are you preoccupied with Facebook? Preoccupied with the soap opera? Preoccupied with the game? Or are you present with your family, who you have a limited amount of time with? That wife, that husband, that child, that parent that you have a limited amount of time with. However much time you have, it's limited. Okay. So your family, your fitness, covered that. Finances, covered that. Friendships, covered that. Your future. Here's the question I have for your future, and I'm done. In the game of life, are you having a future that is being focused on by and built by design or by default? Because if it's not by design, it's automatically by default. I know I talked about a lot of things, and this was more, people say, are you a motivational speaker? Only when I'm not being an irritational speaker. And this was not to motivate you. The purpose, my intention, is to get you irritated enough to look at your life and ask yourself, are you playing the game of life, or are you being played by the game?